I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you've poured your heart and soul into me. We've got a great, I think we made the right decision.
Yeah, but who would take his word for any of this? And did you hear he sounded rather groggy, didn't he? I mean, if that were your dad and you're on the phone with him, you'd say, put mom on the phone. Got a couple of questions I want to ask. Do you have your medic alert on? Because you're not sounding so good. Well, happy Tuesday to you, and welcome back once again. We are in the midst of our Secret Service luncheon on Capitol Hill yesterday, the big hearing, House Oversight Committee with the Director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheatle. Was she in charge of security for Cheetos too? Was Cheetos? For Frito-Lay's, for PepsiCo, the makers of Pepsi. She left the Secret Service, joining the Secret Service in 1995 on the security details for then Vice President Dick Cheney, even on September 11th, 2001, and she was on Bill Clinton's security detail. He was president of the United States. I wonder, if there's anything to know about that. Kind of interesting stuff. And then she's the director of the Secret Service, brought back allegedly by Joe Biden after she left the company and went to work in corporate security for Pepsi, the PepsiCo people, who I didn't know make Doritos, but apparently they do. And so she was in charge of security for Doritos. And then she came back. She was brought back by Joe Biden because they never lost a single Dorito while she was over there. Not one Dorito was lost. Not one 16-ounce bottle of Pepsi was lost because she was doing a heck of a job there. And then my inside information that it was actually Dr. Jill Biden that insisted she be brought back and be made the director of the Secret Service. And we won't get into the sort of details of that, but that's apparently part of the story too. So after leaving the PepsiCo Corporation, man, I'm telling you. And the New York Times has a glowing profile on her today, which means she's got to be evil and corrupt and sinister because the New York Times wants to give her a tongue bath, and they do give her a tongue bath today. That's what our news media does with the friendlies and all of that. Well, working for PepsiCo, she told Security Magazine, it's called Security Magazine. What's that about? That she enjoyed doing home renovations in her spare time. I wonder if she was ever up on any roofs, any sloped roofs, slanted roofs, anything like that. And she said, burnout is real. Well, maybe it's time you go home and work on some home renovation projects. I think that might be good. She said, this industry can be difficult, and it's important to discover yourself. Discover yourself. Should probably go look online for videos. She might be discovering herself. Videos online, I'm not entirely sure. Amazing stuff. Danville, Illinois is where she comes from, Catholic high school. We all know what that means, don't we? Wink, wink. So growing up in Illinois, went to a Catholic high school, Danville, Illinois, 130 miles south of Chicago, and she went to Eastern Illinois University and graduated in 1992. Then she went to the United States Secret Service, where she had, I guess, a good Secret Service career, but that's all past tense now, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now, let's get some more audio from yesterday's big hearing on Capitol Hill. Let's go to, I believe we're at soundbite number 9. Number 9? Let's go to Congressman Mike Cloud. His name is Mike Cloud, and he's a congressman. And Congressman Mike Cloud was asking the Secret Service director a couple of questions about what the heck is going on here. Mike Cloud.
I think it's troubling for a lot of us that the number one question everyone in America is wondering is why was the roof left open? And after 9 days, we should at least maybe have a little bit of that information. And when you come to this committee hearing and you don't have anything to say about that, it's very, very troubling. Whether it's the FBI or Fauci or anything. It's time after time after time. These multiple layers of accountability turn into layers of plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability. It's government stuff. Mike Cloud is a Republican from Louisiana. And I got to say, I think the star of the show yesterday, other than the woman who didn't answer any questions, the director of the United States Secret Service, had to be Congresswoman Nancy Mace, because Nancy Mace showed up loaded for bear, and she brought her potty mouth too. I was watching and I said, Nancy, use your words, use your words. But Nancy Mace from South Carolina, she showed up, she was ready, she wanted some answers, and she wasn't getting any answers, not even close. Now, when Nancy Mace had her time, the chair recognizes Congresswoman Nancy Mace, the gentlelady from South Carolina, and then you get 5 minutes to do your Q&A with the director of the United States Secret Service. And Nancy Mace made I thought, a very generous offer to open things up.
My first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
No, thank you is very polite response. And I thought it was a very polite offer by Congresswoman Nancy Mace. I'll give you 5 minutes. You could just resign right now. And everybody, you got Democrats saying you should resign or be fired. You've got Republicans saying you should resign or be fired. And, maybe this would be a good opportunity for you to take 5 minutes. I'll give you the time and you can resign right here. We've got a stenographer in the room. We keep a record of this and all that stuff. So Nancy Mace, a nice Q&A and relevant questions. That was probably a little, tongue-in-cheeky, but it gets better. Nancy Mace.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Transparent.
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent, yes or no?
I have always been
yes or no.
Don't give me this I have always been stuff. It's pretty straightforward, and it is a yes or no question. You can answer that with a yes or no. And transparent, I got to say, since she dodged and dipped and bobbed and weaved and didn't answer questions all over the place and referred everybody to the FBI, which, has about as much trust as, the public trust and confidence at this point as, Rahm Emanuel or Bill Clinton, Joe Biden around the children. Just crazy. When Joe Biden went from Las Vegas back to Delaware, was it so he could shower with his daughter? Because they got a lot of weirdness going on in that family, and a lot of their weirdness is sexual too, in case you didn't know. And, someday more will come out on that too. Nancy Mace with the director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheatle.
You stated earlier Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political, yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bull. So.
Well, that's I believe she said bullpucky. That's bull-loney. That's malarkey. What she later corrected the record to say malarkey. So her opening statement provided to the Washington Post before the hearing so they can spin it. That means you're looking to have it spun by your friendlies, the political reporters at the Washington Post and at the Politico for the Playbook. They had her opening statements and Punchbowl News. So they're just distributing her opening statements all over the place to left-wing media, and it's being spun and polished for her. And then because she's the head of a federal law enforcement agency, I have no idea how that happened. Well, maybe there should be another congressional investigation. It'll be part of the J13 committee hearing because, it was July 13th, 10 days ago today, that President Trump was shot and nearly assassinated by this lunatic, Crooks. who the Democrats, they're giggling about it. They're still giggling. There are Democrats all over America giggling about Thomas Crooks, who shot and killed Cory Compatore and shot and wounded President Trump, fortunately not too severely, and shot and wounded two other people, two other men more severely. And have you noticed the news media? They just don't, they could care less about the man killed, the people wounded. They could care less about the whole incident. The news media is giving it the Steve Scalise treatment. When Congressman Steve Scalise was shot and wounded and nearly killed by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer named James Hodgkinson. I think 5 people were shot that day. He was there to murder the entire baseball field full of Republican members of Congress warming up and practicing for the annual congressional baseball game. And the news media dropped that story in less than a day. No big deal. It's not like it's George Floyd, a career criminal, junkie, meth head, fentanyl head, who died of cardiac failure while resisting arrest. And they made T-shirts up. I've got an I Can't Breathe T-shirt. I was wearing it over the weekend. The I Can't Breathe T-shirt. And, he was yelling, "I can't breathe," when they were trying to get him in the back of the police car before he was ever on the ground face down. He couldn't breathe because all the drugs in his system. That's what was going on there. And then he died of cardiac failure, according to the coroner's report. But pay no attention to that. They threw the police officer in prison where a Democrat stabbed him 22 times. And the news media didn't cover that either, because our news media is the filthiest, most corrupt institution in the United States of America. All right? And honestly, don't you think that maybe the man, and it's almost, honestly, it's a kind of a rhetorical question, because the man that was shot and killed at the event was a Trump supporter, Cory Compatore. It's Compatore, and they're saying Compatore, but it's an Italian name, and it ends with T-O-R-E, so it should be Comparatore. And Cory Compatore was shot and killed, but there are no T-shirts, there are no riots. The Democrats haven't rioted and burned police cars, and I guess the Republicans are supposed to burn police cars now because of this stuff. Just amazing. Man, oh man. They just don't cover the news. They're just in politics. They're in Democrat Party politics. But Cory Compatore was murdered that day by this Democrat, Crooks, aptly named. And that's just a non-news story as far as our news media is concerned. Thomas Crooks, no big deal. Don't even bother. All right, back to Nancy Mace, because she was having a heck of a day yesterday. She certainly was. And she's just pointing out a few things, using her time to point out. And she did use potty mouth language on 2 different occasions. Nancy Mace yesterday.
Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay. You say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or no?
I will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no.
That is a no. No, you haven't. I'll have to get back. I'm being completely transparent. I haven't answered a question yet, but I'm being Nancy Mace.
Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman,
I want to.
Come on.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how upset we get.
Well. Completely transparent. I'm not going to answer any of your questions, but I'm being completely transparent. Transparently what? I think I'd have to ask. This is our government. This is Washington, D.C., the land of no culpability, no one being held responsible. Lie to Congress, play these games, and the media snickers their way through it because they're Democrat Party fluffers giving tongue baths. We're seeing a lot of surprising shifts in our political landscape these days, and it's urgent that you be prepared. Presidential race going absolutely crazy, and we need to take action to help protect our finances, regardless of who wins in November. For a lot of Americans in uncertain times, taking action means trying to protect our financial future, retirement, family, all that stuff, and gold. You know gold. Gold has, throughout all of human history, been a great hedge against economic and political uncertainty. And when it comes to gold, I recommend reaching out to my trusted friends at Advantage Gold. Advantage Gold at 844-368-9797. They're going to give you a free 2024 up-to-date current gold and silver kit, a gold and silver guide. And when you mention this ad, you may qualify for a special $1,300 bonus, a $1,300 bonus. Make sure to take steps to help secure your finances, put them on solid ground as the political landscape turns to liquid beneath our feet. So call today, 844-368-9797. That's 844-368-9797. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Yeah, Nancy Mace, having a heck of a day yesterday, using a little bit of coarse language there twice. I think, that means she really cares. Big news out of Hollywood, and all the Hollywood people are very excited. Robert De Niro and Barbara Streisand have weighed in, and George Clooney, too. I think George Clooney, and they think that Joe Biden is such an honorable person and he's a patriot of the highest order because he stepped aside. And I guess that means that they all know that he's very severely brain damaged or something. Robert De Niro, Clintons and Obama react to Biden withdrawal, quote, a patriot of the highest order. Because Biden announced on Sunday he's not going to seek the Democratic nomination and endorse Kamala Harris for president. But I don't think Obama has yet, right? But the amazing show business environment that we live in, just extraordinary. Like, somebody cares what George Clooney thinks about politics. If you care what George Clooney thinks, I think your voter registration card should be pulled. If you think Barbara Streisand is a good person to go to on matters of politics, then no voting for you. Maybe, if possible, you should be deported. Just saying. Well, we just learned moments ago that the director of the United States Secret Service, Kimberly A. Cheatle, 53 years old, has resigned. She has resigned her position as the director of the United States Secret Service. And have we heard anything about a job at MSNBC yet? Maybe last night on my show on Newsmax, I quipped. I don't think anybody got it. I quipped. When she leaves here, she should take a job doing executive security at one of the television networks, and I thought that was kind of a nasty thing to say. And sometimes, they don't get all my jokes. You guys get all my jokes, but sometimes Washington people, not known for being the funniest people on the planet, Washington people, but nevertheless, Kimberly Cheatle has resigned. Kimberly A. Cheatle, 53, who has been with the Secret Service on and off since 1995. She had left to go to work for PepsiCo in 2021 and then was brought back because President Joe Biden, but my intelligence network says it was actually Dr. Jill Biden, who's not a doctor, that insisted that she be made the director of the United States Secret Service. And the New York Times is proud to say that she put great emphasis on hiring and promoting people from diverse backgrounds, whatever the hell that means. That's just one of those idiot phrases that the left uses to be racist. That way they can be more racist because the Democrat Party is the party of lynching black people and of the KKK and of Jim Crow and and all of that good stuff. But now Kimberly Cheatle has resigned as director of the Secret Service. Now, who will become the new director of the Secret Service under Joseph? And is it really under Joseph Robinette Biden? Will he make the decision, or will Kamala? Is Kamala the de facto president? Because Joe Biden has done some pretty weird things in the last couple of days. We haven't seen him in 5 days. He said something about addressing the nation sometime this week, but he currently has 0 events on his presidential schedule for the entire week because he had the Wuhan. He got the Wuhan Red Death. He's got the Wu. He's got the Wu. But what the heck is going on here? One of the things we picked up on today is Biden delegates authority over Ukraine support law to the Department of Treasury and the Department of State. What is up with that? It's making big headlines in Ukraine, but not in the United States because the news media is engaged still in an active cover-up as to Joe Biden, Democrat, as to Joe Biden's situation, let's say, his mental incapacity and so on. U.S. President Joe Biden has transferred his authority over the Ukraine Support Act at tens of billions of dollars. You know, the Ukrainians gave the Biden family millions of dollars, and now they get tens of billions. Talk about return on investment. That's ROI, big-time success for Ukraine. Man. So Joe Biden has transferred his authority over the Ukraine Support Act to the U.S. Treasury and U.S. State Departments, according to the White House. Well, if you can't believe them, who can you believe? Biden delegates to U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Why isn't Antony Blinken actively engaged in pulling together peace talks to stop the wars in the war in the Middle East, war in Ukraine versus Russia, instead of just fueling and funding the war machine, which is what the Democrats do? You know, keeping in mind that under Democrat leadership, we ushered in the U.S. Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. Other than that, you know, the Democrats have a pretty good record on matters of peace, don't they? Aren't they amazing? Yeah, I also said last night on the Newsmax show, Kamala Harris was our border czar, and we ended up with the opposite of border. She's the space czar. You can see the craters on the moon with your own eyes. What else was she? And it should be Tsarina, shouldn't it? Because that's the lady czar, right? She's been czar of all kinds of failures, and now they want to make her the U.S. czar. I suggested last night on Newsmax, we should make her the war czar. Make her the war czar. Then there would be world peace, because there would be no war. If you put her in charge of war, there would be none. Put her in charge of a border, there's none. Put her in charge of space, nothing happens. So Joe Biden delegates authority on Ukraine to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is not brokering peace anywhere. And his functions and powers have been delegated under certain sections of the Restoring Economic Prosperity and Opportunity for Ukrainians Act. That's got to be an acronym, right? The Restoring Economic Prosperity and Opportunity for Ukraine Act. That's the Ukraine Act, whatever it is. The law previously adopted in the United States provides, amongst other things, for the possibility of confiscating frozen Russian assets and handing them over to the Biden family, perhaps, for the restoration of Ukraine. But he has now delegated that authority away to Janet Yellen and Antony Blinken. And honestly, Antony Blinken should be impeached, too. The Democrats, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State during the Obama administration. The Obama administration bombed more countries than any administration since World War II ended. But that's okay. And the New York Post has an actual story because the New York Times and the Washington Post don't report stories. They don't report the news. They engage in cover-ups. The New York Post does have the story, though. Isabel Vincent with the story. She's a news reporter. Top Dems threatened to forcibly remove Biden from office unless he dropped out. That's the Politburo that I've been talking about. The oligarchs, the Politburo, headed by Barack Obama and Big Mike, probably, Michelle Obama, and whoever else is behind the curtain. But the lack of transparency should be noteworthy. The news media should point this out, but the news media doesn't, because they're filthies and they give tongue baths to, the Democrat Party. So the top Democrats threatened to forcibly, they're talking about the 25th Amendment and having him removed, and set him up to fail the Trump debate. See, it turns out, and we were talking about this last night on Newsmax as well, the Democrats pushed Joe Biden to do the early debate, the earliest presidential debate, maybe ever, certainly in a long, long time. And according to this reporting, the Democrats pushed Biden to do the early debate with Trump, knowing that it would scuttle his presidency, because they knew that he is a brain cloud, that he is not up to the task. And the Democrats said, well, let's make him debate early, and that will expose him as the buffoon that he is, that we all know him to be, and that will scuttle him, and then we'll take our power back and put our new sock puppet in charge, because the Politburo is really in charge. And you remember the soundbite of Barack Obama saying, if I could just be president over the phone and not actually have to do the job, then that'd be really wonderful, and I could do that, and that's what's been going on.
You wish like you had a third term. If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that's these are very corrupt people. He was mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis as a young man. Barack Obama was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party, was his guiding light since his drunk father abandoned him, and then his stepfather abandoned him, and his flaky, hippie, left-wing radical mother was lost somewhere in the woods and raised by his mother's parents. And his grandmother, who started out as a secretary at a bank and became a vice president, because nobody gets a fair shake in this terribly unfair country, like Barack Obama and his grandmother. These people are really corrupt people. And the New York Post reports operatives at the very highest levels of the Democratic Party, the Politburo, threatened President Biden with forcibly removing him from office unless he stepped down, sources told the New York Post. The well-orchestrated palace coup, that's in quotation marks, to stop the faltering president from seeking re-election had been in place for weeks, but stubborn Biden fought it every step of the way, a source close to Biden's family told the New York Post on Monday. An insider also made clear the anger, paranoia, and frustration Biden displayed as the party elite circled around him and piled on the pressure. Part of the elaborate strategy to remove Biden from the race, as he was announcing as announced in a shocking letter posted to X on Sunday, was allowing him to debate Republican candidate Donald Trump last month on live TV in Atlanta. During the car crash 90-minute debate, Biden appeared confused, slack-jawed, and at one point froze up, with his performance turning the tide against him. But it turns out that the Democrat Party was pushing him and trying to make this happen because they were assassinating him. This was the night of the long knives. This was Julius Caesar being taken down by his own Senate. That debate was set up to convince Democrats that he couldn't run for president, the secret anonymous source said on Monday. As calls for him to bow out mounted, Biden insisted he would continue, but party bigwigs The oligarchs, the Politburo, threatened to invoke the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The amendment allows for the vice president and members of the cabinet to declare the president is unfit to serve and force him to step down. The White House and representatives from the Democratic National Committee did not immediately respond to the New York Post in requests for comment. Although Biden immediately endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic candidate for president, this source said Democratic delegates will be strongly encouraged to instead back Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly for president at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in August, because the Democrat Party, the racist party, they really love a white man. How do you think Joe Biden got the? I mean, come on. Some holdouts have yet to endorse Kamala Harris as Biden's successor, despite there has been less than a month until the convention and only 4 months until Election Day. Most notable among them, former President Barack Obama. We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, Obama said on Sunday in a little post he put up that was signed by him and Michelle Obama, a.k.a. Big Mike. Honestly, following the first debate, and probably the only debate, and they held it early because it's the earliest in modern history. Just amazing stuff. First son, Hunter Biden, suddenly became more involved in his father's day-to-day after the debate. They brought Hunter Biden because he said that Hunter Biden is the smartest, the most intelligent man he knows, didn't he? The crackhead, stripper, knocker-upper, Russian hooker, Dayton posts the porn videos online. Son of the president kicked out of the Navy for repeated cocaine abuse.
We have great confidence in our son. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in pure intellectual capacity.
Right.
And as long as he's good, we're good.
Yeah, sure. President Hunter Biden. Yeah. So the Democrats have given us recently the first African-American president, the first woman president, Jill Biden, and the first crackhead president, Hunter Biden, who it has been widely reported, is known that after the first debate disaster, Hunter Biden suddenly became more involved in his father's day-to-day business, insisting upon attending every official and unofficial meeting in the Oval Office and beyond. This is a disaster. These people are a disaster, and they are not on our side. The Democrat Party is not on our side. Man, oh man, I am telling you. Now, let's go because the head of the Secret Service has resigned now. President Trump did an interview with Jesse Waters. I think he actually did the interview on Saturday, and it aired last night, Monday night. They had some clips on Sunday, and President Trump was asked about the director of the Secret Service. He said that he had spoken to her after the assassination attempt and met with her, and I've got that for you coming right up in a jiff, like that. You know, your feet support you throughout all your summer adventures, all day, all night. Are you tired of shoes that promise comfort and support but fail to deliver? Well, introducing G-Defy shoes with VersaShock technology. Unlike ordinary brands of shoes, G-Defy shoes offer superior shock absorption and trampoline-like energy return, helping provide you relief from foot pain, knee pain, ankle, even back discomfort. I love mine. I've got a pair. My best girl has a pair. We've hiked all over the city in them. You know, whether you're an athlete, a busy parent, or always on the go, G-Defy shoes offer the comfort and versatility that your feet crave. Say goodbye to discomfort and hello to unparalleled support this summer. Every pair includes two free pairs of supportive orthotics, too, and a special lateral stabilizer to help improve your stride or your run. Great shoes, they really are. And as a listener to this show, you get to enjoy a special summer offer. You visit gdefy.com and get $20 off your order of $100 or more with the code CHRIS. That's me, CHRIS. You just go to gdefy.com, gdefy.com, and don't forget to use the code Chris for $20 off your order of $100 or more. Experience ultimate comfort this summer with G-Defy shoes. Visit gdefy.com today. Yes, sir. Yeah, President Trump was asked about the now former director of the United States Secret Service, and I have that coming up for you. Yes, so the director of the U.S. Secret Service resigns. You know, the handwriting was on the roof on this one. Kamala Harris, 92% of Kamala Harris's staff left in her first 3 years as vice president, the Federalist, 92% of her staff. She, according to one report out of the Senate, she had 47 staffers 3 years ago. Now 5 of them still remain in her employ. She's supposed to be an absolute nightmare to work for and to be around. The Speaker of the entire House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, was in the middle of holding a press conference when he got word that Kim Cheatle had resigned as director of the U.S. Secret Service.
She must have been watching our press conference. I'm glad she did the right thing. Look, our reaction, the immediate reaction to her resignation is that it is overdue. She should have done this at least a week ago. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that she has heeded the call of both Republicans and Democrats. Now we have to pick up the pieces. We have to rebuild the American people's faith and trust in the Secret Service as an agency.
And then we can start on the FBI and our faith and confidence in the FBI, the lead investigating agency in this attempted assassination of President Trump 10 days ago today. And then we could start to work on trying to rehab the reputation of the intelligence community that tampered in our 2020 election, spearheaded by, Antony Blinken, who was then with the Biden campaign, who started that brush fire. Then it was picked up by the Communist Party voter, John Brennan. The Democrat Party is not on our side, and they're wrecking everything. At least they hate the Jews, though.